This is time that we discuss the area of semantics. And semantics is to be called the change that takes place in the meaning of words, terms, idioms. When an idiom or a phrase or a word has got different meanings, it is called the semantic changes. And language actually is something that is dynamic. And it goes on changing all the time. And even grammar undergoes constant change. So we have the traditional grammar and the modern grammar. And the branch of linguistic which studies the change of meaning. The linguistic study that deals with the change of meaning is called semantics. And semantic changes in English can be divided broadly into 4 types. There are 4 types of semantics. The first is affected by generalization. And this refers to the meaning of a word getting extended or widened. In generalization, the meaning of a word gets extended or widened. And there are many number of examples. For example, the word lovely is a typical example. It originally meant worthy to be loved. In the olden period, it meant worthy to be loved and it was called lovely. Now it has got a much wider meaning. It means anything lovable, attractive or good. And we have such expressions as a lovely home, a lovely poem, a lovely idea. And there is another word, pipe, P-I-P-E, pipe. And it originally meant a particular musical instrument that was cylindrical in shape, round in shape. And it was called pipe in the olden times. Later, anything of that shape came to be called pipe. Formerly, it was meant a musical instrument. Pipe was a musical instrument that has a cylindric quality. That was cylindrical in shape. But in the modern times, anything that is of cylindrical shape, not only the musical instrument, but anything that is of a cylindrical shape can be called a pipe. And we have plastic pipes, rubber pipes, iron pipes, metal pipes. And there is interestingly another word, box. Box originally meant a jewelry casket. And that was made of box wood. In the olden times, the word box meant a jewelry casket that was made of box wood. And now the connection with box wood has been wholly gone, is lost. Now we have metal boxes, plastic boxes, paper boxes, and boxes made of wood. And the word box actually doesn't refer to a thing for storing jewelry. Now we store various things in a box. And we have different kinds of boxes now in use. And this is a way of affecting semantics through generalization. And then the next way of affecting semantics is specialization or narrowing. The first is generalization, making things more generalized. The word lovely meant worthy to be loved, and now there are various connotations for the word. A lovely poem or a lovely home or a lovely idea, and we use lovely in a generalized manner. And the word pipe, for example, was meant as a musical instrument in cylindrical shape. Now we have various kinds of pipes, plastic, rubber, metal pipes. And anything that is cylindrical is called a pipe. And the example of the boxes I told you, formerly it was meant as a thing to store jewelry and made of boxwood. Now boxes are used for various purposes and they are made of various metals, various elements. There are metal boxes, plastic boxes and paper boxes. And the next way of affecting semantics is narrowing or specialization. And this refers to a word getting a restricted sense in course of time. The word is not getting a generalized meaning. It is just the opposite. Getting narrower or having a restricted sense in the course of time. For example, the word doctor meant a learned man. And we have that meaning in the degree PhD. Now doctor means a person learned in medical science. But now doctor refers to a person learned in medical science. Or formerly the word doctor was meant as a learned person. Any learned person could be called a doctor. And we have the meaning in the degree PhD. But now it has been narrowed. The meaning has been given specialization or it is narrowed. And the word deer originally meant any animal, and we can have the example from Shakespeare in the line, mice and such small deer. Mice and such a small deer. And deer refers to various animals. So formerly deer meant any animal. And Shakespeare used it as any animal in the word deer. The line mice and such small deer. Now deer refers to a particular animal. And not all animals are called deer. And there is another word, fowl. And fowl was any kind of bird in the former times. But now fowl is a particular bird only. And the word wife, another example. And we have the reference in Chaucer's Prologue to Canterbury Tales. There is the wife of Bath. And the wife actually meant any lady. And the lady is the wife of Bath. And she actually a person belonging to a place called Bath. A lady from Bath. And originally wife meant any lady. But now it means the wedded lady of a man. Now the word has been narrowed, or we use the word for specialized meaning. Now wife means a lady who is wedded to a man. And this is the way narrowing is affected in semantics. And then the third method is degeneration. The first method is generalization, and the second is narrowing, and the third method is called degeneration, and it refers to words undergoing degraded meaning. So the degradation takes place in its meaning. For example, the word crafty originally meant the knowledge of a craft. In the olden times, when a person was referred to as crafty, it meant that he was learned in some kind of craft. But now, crafty means a scheming or a cunning person. And the word silly, another example, originally meant blessed. In Chaucer's time, silly meant blessed. And now it means foolish. And there are words like villain and vulgar. And these type of words have undergone degeneration of meaning. And this is called the degeneration. And opposite to degeneration is elevation. For example, the word fond, F-O-N-D, fond, originally meant foolish. Now it has a much better meaning. In the olden times, the word fond meant foolish. When a person was called a fond person, it meant that he was a foolish person. But now the word fond has got a much better meaning. So we say that we are fond of music and we are fond of cricket. And the word knight, K-N-I-G-H-T, knight. Originally, knight meant a servant. A servant was called a knight in the olden times. Now, knighthood has been given as the greatest honor for Englishmen. An Englishman is proud if he gets a knighthood. And the word has got so opposite meaning now. And the meaning has been elevated to greatness. And opposite to degeneration is elevation. And I told you the basic ways of making semantic changes are done through generalization, narrowing, degeneration, and elevation. In some cases, a word has undergone a complete change of meaning. And it has now the opposite meaning. For example, the word knave, K-N-A-V-E, knave. It originally meant an innocent person. In the olden times, the word knave, K-N-A-V-E, knave, meant an innocent person. And now, if we refer a person as a knave, it means he is a rascal. And the word grocer, G-R-O-C-E-R, grocer, originally meant a wholesale dealer. And now it means a retail dealer. We go to the grocer and buy things. And he is a retailer. We find the grocers in our streets. But in the olden times, a grocer was a man who dealt wholesale business. Now it is retail business. In some cases, euphemism is responsible for the change of meaning. There is euphemism. The word cemetery, for example, is a striking example for euphemism. It originally meant a sleeping place. Cemetery actually meant a sleeping place. And it has been euphemistically used for a graveyard. Now we use cemetery as a graveyard. Instead of saying graveyard, we use a polished word cemetery. And formerly the word cemetery was a sleeping place, and now we refer to the graveyard as a cemetery for the dead people. And these are the ways semantics is affected in language. And thank you for the time being.